We already knew that EVs burn, but the latest data clearly shows exponential growth of fire incidents. They could catch a fire at charging stations or after a collision, but they can also burn for no reason, just sitting at the parking lot. It looks like automakers still haven't found a way to solve this major concern, and EV owners had enough, as EVs are catching fire in huge numbers. BYD's 10th showroom fire in 3 years. Everyone knows that EVs are prone to catching fire, but if you ask experts, the risk is actually lower compared to internal combustion and especially plug-in hybrid cars. The only problem is that once a fire occurs, it's much harder to control it in the case of electric cars. But still, the actual fire incidents are not all that rare, as some may suggest, and BYD comes as probably the best example. This Chinese EV maker is considered Tesla's closest rival, and honestly, it's really impressive when it comes to the technology and sales numbers. However, these cars seem to be more prone to fire than other EVs, at least if we refer to all those incidents at showrooms. Recently, another BYD caught fire, and this time it occurred at the company's showroom in Fuzhou, the capital of the Chinese province, Fujian. Once again, we witnessed a parked EV catching fire for no reason. A video of the incident quickly spread over the internet, and from what we can see, the showroom burned pretty much completely, which is, according to NTD-TV, the 10th case since 2021. Once again, firefighters didn't have much success with dealing with the flame, even though there were 29 of them, along with 7 fire trucks. They were fighting the blaze for a full hour, but the fight wasn't successful. The whole building burned, just like the other EVs parked inside the building. The only good thing is that no one was injured during the incident. This comes at the worst possible time, considering that, despite impressive sales numbers, BYD still struggles to expand its operation to abroad markets. Currently, 95% of the sales are on the domestic market. Jaguar I-Pace, a fire-catching champion. Jaguar and Land Rover are 2 of the most popular EVs in the world. Land Rover have always been known for their notoriously low reliability rating, so you're probably thinking now, why would things be any different in the case of electric cars? And it turns out that Jaguar has been loyal to its reliability reputation, and that the I-Pace is no better than its ICE counterparts. Namely, the I-Pace has been burning a lot lately. After several cases of catching fire at charging stations, Jaguar finally issued a recall last year. Over 6,400 I-Pace models delivered to the US market were called back for a battery fix due to potential lithium-ion battery thermals. All batteries were produced by LG Energy, while all I-Pace models were produced at Magna Steyr's Graz vehicle assembly plant in Austria. The recall included models produced between 2019 and 2024. However, that's not the end of the story. It turned out that not all the job was done properly, so Jaguar was forced to issue another safety recall just a couple of months later. This time, it recalled 200 units because they didn't receive the required software update. What's also interesting is that the British automaker instructed owners that after updates, they would have to charge their I-Pace outside for 30 days. As part of a software update, Jaguar also added a new function, which limits battery charging capacity to 75% if it identifies the problem. In that case, the vehicle would also instruct the driver to visit a dealer as soon as possible. China's on fire. China is the biggest EV maker in the world, with the most developed charging structure. For that reason, it doesn't surprise that the world's second largest population is also the world's leader in EV fire incidents. Things went to the point that Chinese agencies are not allowed to release data anymore. So the last time we got official data was 3 years ago, when we learned that there were over 3,000 incidents in 2021 alone. With the massive growth that has been happening meanwhile, we can only presume that the number is much higher these days. Fire incidents are happening all over China on a daily basis. Of course, many of them were caught by security cameras and eventually ended up on social networks, such as the Hong Kong incident from a few months ago when a fire occurred at the Kowloon Bay charging station. A BYD EV driven by a 53-year-old woman suddenly caught fire, and it was pure luck that she managed to step away to a safe distance before the EV burned completely. Besides incidents at charging stations, we've also seen EVs catching fire while on the move. And while it's possible to give a logical explanation in such cases, it's hard to understand how an EV can catch fire while standing still and not being plugged into a charger. Such incidents are numerous, and one of them happened at the Hangzhou Auto City a while ago. Due to a small error in the battery design or some related component, one of the displayed EVs started smoking, and the staff was able to push the smoking EV out of the building and leave it in the parking lot. Even though firefighters reacted promptly, they were not able to extinguish the fire, and the vehicle burned down completely. VW toll incident. Despite that Chinese quality standards are probably lower compared to Western automakers, its market has some pretty high demands when it comes to safety concerns. For example, EVs are required to remain safe 30 minutes after the collision, so everyone has enough time to evacuate before the damaged EV catches fire. Apparently, some EVs cannot fulfill such a requirement, even though they've already been on sale in China. We became aware of that after the toll incident from last year, and that must have been one of the most fatal cases of EVs catching fire so far, resulting in the death of 4 people. It all happened when an electric Volkswagen crashed into a toll station on the Hangzhou highway. This time, we found out that the all-electric VW is not capable of meeting that 30-minute delay demand. Instead, the moment it crashed, it caught fire. Passengers had no time to evacuate, which only raised safety concerns even more. And once again, even though firefighters reacted promptly, they had no chance, and the vehicle burned to the ground. Besides raising safety concerns, this incident also affected the popularity of the German brand in China. According to Chinese sources, the sales numbers went down 25%. To remind you, Volkswagen currently offers 3 electric cars in this part of the world: the ID.3, ID.4, and ID.6. Ford F-150. Lightning burns. 2 fire concerns aren't related to the Chinese market only. The same things are happening in other parts of the world, including America, which is one of the slowest EV adopters around. Last year, a fire incident occurred. The all-electric pickup truck caught fire before it even managed to get to the new owner. No, it burned right at the Dearborn plant parking lot. And if you look at the footage, the fire caught a couple of surrounding F-150 models as well. First, the smoke started, but soon after, flames were several feet above the vehicles. And while the footage doesn't show how long the extinguishing process lasted, eyewitnesses suggest it took hours before firefighters managed to deal with the flames. After a short investigation, it turned out that the pickup wasn't plugged into a charger. Instead, it was just sitting at the plant parking lot. The cause of the fire was related to the battery design flaws, so Ford immediately stopped production for a month or so. But that wasn't the only fire concern that happened in North America. Before that, Chevrolet recalled over 100,000 vehicles due to fire concerns. Battery design flaws, along with a seatbelt pretensioner's deployment, increased the risk of fire. Gave GM no other option but to call back pretty much all of these EVs for a fix. Moreover, they even advised Bolt owners to keep their vehicles away from other cars and outside buildings. So what makes EVs burn so badly? As you can see, EVs are quite prone to catching fire, and the reasons are numerous. One of the common causes is the so-called thermal runaway, which happens during overheating. High temperatures often cause electrolytes to ignite inside the battery. Furthermore, there are potential short circuits which can happen for different reasons, such as damage to the separator between the battery's anode and cathode. When such a thing happens, it usually leads to a rapid increase in temperature and potential ignition. As we already learned, EVs are also very vulnerable when it comes to physical damage. During accidents, physically damaged cells can lead to internal short circuits or rupture the cells, which can also initiate a fire. Then there are manufacturing defects typical of mass production. EVs often come with defects in the separator, while faulty components within the battery management system can fail to regulate temperature and voltage, which significantly increases the risk of overheating. Overcharging. over-discharging, exposure to extreme temperatures. All in all, possible causes are numerous. However, many experts still claim that EVs catch fire less often than internal combustion cars, which is technically correct. The only problem is that standard firefighting techniques like using water don't help much. Foam and dry chemicals aren't particularly efficient either, while the reignition risk is extremely high, which altogether brings us to the conclusion that even rarer EV fire incidents pose a significantly higher safety risk compared to internal combustion cars. Thanks for watching and see you next time.